Before we get to the game, the decision to cut Jalen Hawkins.
Yeah, like a lot of look, I'm very appreciative of everything Jalen did. Jalen played some good football for us. Loved working with him. Wishing him best in the future. Sometimes situations change, and I got a lot of respect for Hawk, Jalen. And so there's decisions you make. Try to do in the best interest of the team and for all parties involved. And it's an opportunity, right, Micah? And, open up some opportunities. Josh Miles also got an opportunity. The Giants signed him to their active. He was on our practice squad, so happy for Josh there. That's the way it goes, but it's an opportunity for other guys.
And looked like Hell was moved ahead of him, and Michael filled the help.
Yeah, just, look, like I said, you try to do what's best for your team. You're not going to be perfect, but they're, well thought out. And like I said, things change all the time in this league. And Jalen's one of the good guys in this league, and like I said, I can't say enough good things about him. Circumstances change, so there's opportunity for other guys. D-Led.
And yeah, just 5 games into this season, 5 from last, kind of the 10-game mark. How comfortable are you all with Desmond and that y'all can, get this rash of interceptions here eradicated from this game?
Sure. I think you look around the history of this league and you go back to patterns. Obviously, they happen, and you have to acknowledge. I think, we talked about the other day, I think you don't want to sugarcoat anything, but you got to learn from your mistakes too. And, those are things, it's a tough position. We got that. And we got to eliminate those. It hasn't been a major pattern. Go back to last year, the 4 starts, didn't turn the ball over. Obviously, 2 out of the last 3 games, they've happened. But it's happened to a lot of quarterbacks. The thing is, you got to fix it. It can't become a trend. Then you got to have an even bigger problem. But like I said, there's a lot of good things doing. It's like a lot of things in this league. 90% can be good, but if you've got 10% of some critical errors, and if you look at our 3 losses, especially last week, that's happened. So you are what you are, right? So there's a reason we're 3-3. The good news is a lot of football left, and there's a huge game coming up for us down in Tampa in a divisional game. We need to go down there and win. So that's where we're at. But there is progress, but we have to eliminate those critical errors in all 3 phases, right? Play here or there, and it's everybody's taking turns. And like I said, you can cut the numbers up however you want, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you lose a game and you make those critical errors, you got to get it fixed.
You mentioned the basketball parts of all. Can you come and ask questions for these?
We have ongoing conversations. There's no specific aha moment, Mike. You just make decisions. You try to let the best thing for the team guide you, and obviously we try to make sure we do everything with full transparency and have conversations. And like I said, I got a lot of respect for Hawk. Things change, right? So roles change. You try to do what's best for the team.
What has Drake given you guys over the last few weeks, and maybe is even at a different level compared to before?
Those are subjective terms. They're just like all of us. Start myself. You look in the mirror every day and see what you can do to get better. And I think he tries to do that. And like I said, he's made some big catches lately. There's some other things that he's working to improve, as we all are.
Hey, Arthur, what do you have to change when it comes to the game management in crunch time? Those situations.
Which one, like the Houston one?
The other day where you get down to the play clock running out.
Yeah, they're all different things. So you want to cut it up. Let's look about 2,000 plays the last 2 years, and you look about, let's just go rough estimate, 360 if you call it rough estimate, 60 in every game. So those 3 things happen. They all were different, but I wouldn't call that some catastrophic trend. Now, they shouldn't have happened, but they're all different why they happen. And like I said, we identify the problem, but you take 3 plays out of 2,360. Got it. They shouldn't have happened.
At that time, though.
Well, sure, but again, we can play this game all day. Well, what about Houston? What about New York? We won a lot of games handling situations. Obviously, we didn't do it last week. We got to get it fixed. But this isn't some trend runaway story. Acknowledge what happened, fix it. But if there had been some problem, or that's what I'm saying. It's just like it's riding the roller coaster of, okay, those sort of things happen. That's not the only reason we lost the game. That's, you know what I mean? Like you turn the ball over 3 times, said the other day. Percentage of winning right now in the league, you know, year over year, it's about the same. But this year, it's 6% chance if you turn the ball over 3 times, -3. You can also throw the punt return in there. Probably give you about 4 turnovers. They're hard to win. Like I said, you can do a lot of good things, but you can eliminate that. You know, look, the operational thing, they're all 3 different. So you identify them, you fix them. But I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, you know, reasonably biased that, you know, running around like this is some huge problem and whatever. Like, it shouldn't happen. We got to fix them. If something continues to happen, obviously things, you know, you got to change things up. And we look to do that every week, even when you win. But that's just the math and the reality situation. You go back to Houston, those guys executed pretty damn good. Yeah, you know, in the other games we've won close, that we've managed the clock and walked off and not put our kickoff team back out there and done things like that. We haven't been perfect. We know that. But I will say this. Our guys have operated pretty damn good in some crunch situations. It can always be a lot better. Last week, got to fix it.
You spoke Sunday of trying to evolve on offense, and you plan to continue to try to evolve. And getting back to what you just said about Ritter's not having the turnovers early in his time as a starter, obviously there's a mirroring of those turnovers going up as you've tried to add more.
Yeah, you can add it. You know, those are good questions, but I mean, you can add it a lot of different ways, right? You can talk to some really, really old coaches, and they say, more times you put the ball in there, more chances of bad things to happen. I got it. You know, we have thrown the ball more lately, but that's, again, guys gonna make a play here and there. It's the self-inflicted stuff that you can control that you've got to eliminate, and they're all different. We just can't let it become a pattern. It cannot trend against state. There's a lot of really good things going on, but again, it's 90% is good, and you screw up 10%, you lose a game. Even if we even won a game, say we had found a way to win that game, there's things you got to fix. But there is progress being made. There's some big-time throws being made. You know, again, it's got to be like all of us. I was always going to start with myself. I think you take every game, you look at yourself, and you have to have that mindset. What can I do to get better? That's what it comes down to. But there is a lot of positives, and we got to fix those things that right now that have costed us. Certainly cost us yesterday, or God, you know what day it is? Sunday, Wednesday.
If I could quickly follow up, I guess my question was heading toward, do you allow your attempt to evolve to be affected by these turnovers?
Every game's gonna be a little bit different. I mean, we want to be balanced. You know, some games, if somebody's sitting there and they're playing drop 8 coverage and daring you to run it, you better run it, or vice versa. You know, you got to be able to do it. And then there's a lot of things that can change week to week, where the game's going. You know, a lot of times too, how the other side's going. There's a lot of factors into it. Where your matchups are, scheme. We try to put the best plan together, but we don't want to become obvious. I know sometimes patterns emerge. Inevitably, sometimes, you know, the strengths show up. It's the same thing if you try to spread the ball around. Inevitably, certain guys get it more. It's just it's the way it goes.
Arthur, is your approach with Dez change at all after a few interceptions in a game? And what do you kind of do behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because there's sometimes every quarterback's different, right? And you know, I think as you continue to evolve, I mean, and sometimes the situation dictates it, right? If it happens and you got to go back out there in a 2-minute, where you thought that, hey, I can calm down for a second, or hey, man, we need to go back at it. You know, sometimes the situation, you know, you got to go put the ball back in the air a bunch. So you just learn, you know, like I said, they're all unique, but that is part of the process of learning a quarterback. They're all different.
Is he one of those guys who needs a pat on the back saying, hey, we're still right here? I'm just curious what his...
Yeah, I'll let Dez speak for himself, but my experience with him, he's very honest and aware. I've been around guys that are very delusional or entitled, and they may tell you what you want to hear in the moment, and then they're, you know, privately lobbying for their own private guru or friendly national media guy, you know, making excuses for himself. We've all seen that story before. Sadly, there's a lot of that. It's a tough position to play. But what's refreshing about Dez is very honest, and I have to be too. I've told him before, I shouldn't have called that. But if you don't have that kind of relationship, you're going to be a dime a dozen team, and you'll ride the roller coaster, and you'll get on the Bravo reality circuit.
When you do have a quarterback that makes multiple or has multiple interceptions in a game, what are you, I guess, when you have that many, what are you looking for to make sure that they're different each time, or how he's just bouncing back?
It's like everything. You don't want the same mistakes. I mean, some of them, it may look, that's what I love about the sport. If you really look at every play, right, some of them look the same, and some of them are obvious to everybody sitting there. My 3-year-old could tell me, like, you throw it to the wrong person. Like, if I throw it right to you and you're playing defense, like, don't do that. But why would you do that? But some of them, maybe it might be a look, pressure may, get you off something, or you may think you've seen something, and you make a split-second decision, and it can be a wrong one and a really bad one if you turn the ball over. So there's so many little different factors. But if there's a pattern, all of a sudden, if you're just dropping out in zone covers and I can see it and I'm throwing it to you, like, that's a major problem. So you don't want to become a pattern. They're all different. Situations are different, right? You got to get a guy lined up late. That doesn't help the quarterback, so it's not on the quarterback. He can't make the adjustment to the pressure. Get in the situation. You make a mistake, not on the same page. I mean, that's the stuff you gotta fix. So it's not just like, that's one, and you go through them all, this or that. So.
I guess how do you in practice try to?
Well, it's not just practice.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's a lot of it. Like, yeah, you can try to replicate things, make it harder for them, make it more stressful. Find out. There's a lot of different tricks people use. I know this, so if you go back there and try to make it feel good and everything really easy, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to be disappointed again on Sunday.
And you alluded to some of the really good NFL level throws he made in the first half. Is that sort of what you sort of pin your hopes on in terms of him moving forward in the future, in terms of him being able to play at this?
Yeah, it's everything, right? It's learning from success and failure. Obviously having evidence that you can do it. Otherwise, you're sitting here, if you have no evidence, then you're just wishing and hoping even more, and you're basically trying to sell air. Making up some new currency to fleece you guys with, some vaporware or something. But there is evidence, right, Jeff? But it's got to be, right, the next step is consistency, learning from those, and history will tell you a lot of these guys have, because the speed of the game changes, and guys change things week to week. They try to trick you, and that's the part of being a real quarterback in this league. And then, there's guys that done it a few games. There's guys that done it maybe a season. They can't sustain. But rare are the ones that can sustain. But what you're hoping for is enough evidence, help you win games, stack them, and so you're playing late in the year consistently and continually evolving. But that's what you got to find about any of these guys. Whether you drafted them number one, sometimes I would argue the higher somebody gets drafted, the more excuses get made. And finally, by the fourth coach that they've gotten fired, they realize, hey, the guy can't play. There's other guys that, they get in a good situation, and they get to play their mistakes because things are right around them, and you're winning enough, and it's stable, and they come out the other side, and they're pretty damn good. There's so many different stories. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're looking for evidence, improvement, consistency, and ultimately, we got to win.
I remember in training camp, everyone's pretty much, the guys were talking about the goal this year is to win the division.
Sure.
And so with, this game, the division gave them a chance to take first place. So I guess how much emphasis are you putting in just the importance
Yeah,
of this game?
actually, Tampa, right? They won the division the last 2 years, no matter how it's shaken out. That's the one way you guarantee yourself postseason is to win the division. So that should be your goal every year. And they've won the division the last 2 years. They got in as a wild card the year before, beat the divisional winner, right, and won the Super Bowl. So Tampa's been the one that's been the top of our division. So I know there's people change the scheme a little bit on offense. It's still a really good team. They know who they are, and it's going to be a big game for us. And it's a big game for them. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And, a lot of times you get into tiebreakers. I mean, these are big games for us. And so we've got to find a way to go down there, which we understand the significance, and it's a good opportunity for us.
Hey, Coach, that front, you'll be a challenge up front with your line and their defense. How are you sizing that up? They got Vea in the middle, the edge rushers,
It's a
Tryon, Barrett.
It's a challenge every week, right? That's the thing about the National Football League, and especially when people invest. Most people invest in their defensive lines. You could probably make a good subjective argument that a lot of these D lines are ahead of a lot of O lines, and I think the numbers would prove that. Every week, right? Last week we're sitting here talking about Sweat and Allen and Payne and Young, and next week we'll be talking about Big Jeff and Nico and Tart and Landry and those guys. So it's just going to be a challenging week. That's the NFL. So this week, obviously, Vita Vea, really damn good player. Their middle of their defense is pretty damn good. Devin White, Vontae David, played a lot of high-level football. They drafted Kalijah Cansey, good little player. I wouldn't say little, but he's smaller than others, and that's not a shot. The guy's a damn good football player, Cansey. Tryon's a guy they drafted early. He's gotten better every year. Barrett's back out there, changed his number to number 7. It's funny when you get used to seeing guys. I'm sure you see that's more common now, right? Yeah, and then all of a sudden he looks at number 7. Shaq's a good player. A lot of guys they can throw at you. They're deep there. Nelson, Hall, second year. Go on and on and on. And they do a good job, but that's the division, and every week that's going to be a challenge.
When you face a defense that has had so much continuity, does that change in some ways how you approach it, because they fear everything you do, but you also know that?
Yeah, and that's kind of the game sometimes. I have so much respect for Todd Bowles. Year after year, it's not copy, reprint. Been doing it a long time. Damn good coach. Those are games within games. Your division opponents so well, and it's always going to be about execution, those things in preparation. But those are the fun, strategic games that you get to play as coaches too.
When we're talking about Desmond being honest and aware, how important is that, especially as you're looking at progress being made in an offense and when things aren't totally going his way all the time?
I think it's important for anybody. I think coaches and players. Otherwise, I think you become Dime a dozen politician. So that's just my personal opinion. No offense to the politicians, but it's hugely important in any race. This game is going to stress you. It's about trust. It's ultimately about winning and results. But if you don't have those relationships, like I said, you might as well follow us around with Bravo TV. David and I can go sit with Andy Cohen on a late night and confessional.
You mentioned progress in the passing game. Obviously, the yardage reflects that the last couple of weeks. But just from the beginning of the year, where have you seen that progression?
Yeah, I don't know if every game you're gonna. Sometimes the plan dictated that, or they get in a rhythm and you see something and you try to exploit it, and that's where it leads you. But you said you want to be balanced. I just think of improvement. Obviously, you got to eliminate the critical errors, but you've seen some obvious improvement. You got a young group of skill guys. Things we've tried to push, change year over year. You'd like them to sometimes happen right away. It doesn't sometimes. And it's a fine line, right? You ask that question. Do you just blow everything up because it didn't work once, or do you see progress? And you always got to be able to adapt and pivot. Don't get me wrong, but that's what we were seeing. Now it's got to continue, and we got to eliminate some of the critical errors too. But there has been progress.
Going back to some of the line of scrimmage conversation, what y'all were doing with Ryan Newsel last game, was that more based on kind of what you were seeing from Washington and it was a game-specific decision, or is that something that y'all are kind of, as you're seeing more and more loaded boxes, you're like, this is something we can do?
Sometimes it's what you have up. We didn't draft Fitzy, so you're trying to find different roles for guys that are up, which also led to Gwen being up. Like, those are the decisions that happen on Saturdays. You're looking the whole thing, special teams, who's up, right? You go heavy at a different position. So you're just trying to make use. We thought we had something that could help us. Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe you won't see it again. I don't know. I don't know if Newsel's days as a jumbo tight end are over or not. He looks like a little land shark in there. I see he's going across. Like Chris Farley, right across. But Newsel does a good job. But we'll just see where it goes. It may not be up this week. We'll have to see.
I want to get your thoughts on flag football coming to the Olympics. How cool is that potentially some of these guys could, play? Would you want to coach the team, or I don't know? It's pretty.
I like my job. I need to continue to.
Or any of your guys, even just to get to play in the Olympics.
We're a long way away, right? 5 years. It's like it's like 20 years in coaching lives. I don't know. I think it's cool for the sport, but I haven't given much thought to it. I think flag football has definitely helped popularity. I do know this, which is cool. I've got an 8-year-old daughter, it's funny what flag football has opened up. I know that's been an initiative here in Georgia. It's taken off, right? It's a high school sport. Extremely impressed. Don't know why they asked me to do it, but I was happy to do it. They asked me to give out an award at the Georgia High School award show last year, which was really cool. And seeing some of the participants in flag football, some really, really impressive people. Yeah, I mean, maybe look back at my high school resume and be like, I haven't done anything, but that's helped the sport. So that'd be my best answer. But I like my job. I got to continue, focus on that, and that's where my thoughts are.
Conversation about NFL players.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it. Ask me that in 5 years.
Yeah, no, I
Hopefully we're all up here, good health, doing well, and you can ask me that in 5 years. We'll see, right? Where is it, in LA? Yeah. See if it matches. When was the last time I was in LA? D-Led, what were you like? Were you there?
Yep.
Jeff?
I was there.
Heard some epic stories. They're probably not fit for the press conference.
Something on Mayfield, this version of Mayfield.
Baker, yeah. So, he's done really well. So Dave Canales coming there, they've done a good job getting the ball out extremely quick. Obviously, he's a talented player. Looks like he's found a role. Fits their scheme. Talented thrower. Got a ton of respect for him, and they're gonna make it hard to get to the quarterback. And he gets into a rhythm, it can be a problem. So he's done a really nice job.
Is he running by design or just?
I think he's an instinctive runner. I think he's instinctive. I mean, sometimes things happen on a keeper or a boot, whatever you want to call it. Guys get out of the pocket. You got an athletic quarterback. It's the same thing when you watch Jake Palmer do it. And there's a historic revenue. Get nostalgic there. And guys like that, it's part of the keeper game. If you can extend the run, some of it's getting out of the pocket, and he's a good athlete.
We talked a lot about Kyle last few weeks. It seems also like you guys are maybe lining him up more like you did 21 and 22. Is that something with
I think
the offense?
It's just a natural evolution sometimes. These guys, whether it's getting healthier again or there's things that you need to get back to that are better for your team and you're built different. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But certainly you just try to find ways to maximize everybody, and that's our job.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.